Hi guys, as we move into the final renders and the final lighting, there's a couple things that we need to make sure of first. So animators, when you are doing your final animations, so you're finishing the blend shapes and you're finishing any anim edits, if you've done it in the light folder, please go ahead and save it out into the anim folder. Just save a copy into the anim folder before you finish, or after you finish. And then lighters, the way that you'll know which final animation to use, because we're always doing edits and things like that, it should be titled Final Blend Shapes and Final Anim. So animators, just name your final file as Final Blend Shapes for the description, or Final Anim. And that's how we can get on the same page with what is the completed animation. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is cache out the final animation. So I'm just going to walk you through it. Go ahead and set your project to the anim folder that you're looking for your shot in. So I'm going to grab 220 and Sikim's anim folder, and I'm just setting it to Maya. And then I'm opening up his most recent anim file. And what you're looking for should be like final blend shapes, final anim, but it's not here yet, so I'm just going to pick the most recent one. And this is where you're going to find the final rig. That should be on there, so go ahead and go into a perspective view and take a look at the rig. And we're going to cache out both the character and the prop. So what we're going to do first is we're going to cache out Robert and the clipboard. So in order to do that, you have to select his geo. And you might think that you could just select it like this by like finding the geo here. But unfortunately for geocaching, it doesn't work like that for some reason. So you have to go up here and make sure that you have only surfaces selected. So deselect all of these and only have surfaces, and then go ahead and select him. As you can see, his shoes are not selecting, so just go into the channel box, find his shoes. It could be any of these, so just start unrestricting. Yeah, it was layer 1. So sometimes there's random kinks like that, so you just gotta, like, if something's not selecting, just find where it's restricted and unrestrict it. So I selected all of Robert's geo. And I did that again by deselecting all of these items and only selecting surfaces. Then I physically select him. And then we go to cache, geometry cache, create new cache, and go to the box. Now it takes you here. It wants you to cache out to this directory, but don't let it go there. Click the little file and reroute it. Go to Grob 220, go to Assets, Cache, Geocached, Robert, and if these folders are not created, just create them. And then you go right click, you just open that. Open the Robert folder in this directory. Now I want you to rename it. Rename it Robert Cache 1. Oh. I think I have some from practicing, so I'm just gonna do like 5. But just name it Robert Cache 1, so that if you have to recache for some reason, you could just keep versioning up the cache, and then click create. You're always gonna get this weird message on the bottom, but you could ignore that. Alright, that should have cached Robert. So let's cache out the clipboard as well. And you'll be doing this for all of your props, so get ready to do that. So for the clipboard, for some reason whenever I try to select it using the method, it deselects. So what we're going to do is open up the clipboard, find the geo, open the geo, and then just manually select all of the geo inside of geo, just like this, and then go cache, geometry cache, create new cache, same way. Click the file, because it's always going to put you to the wrong directory. Go to assets, cache, and then geocached clipboard. So make a clipboard folder. When you get to this point, you just open, and then over here, you want to rename this to clipboard cache 5. And for you, it'd be 1. So create, and now it's going to cache it out. All right, now you can go ahead and get out of the animator scene. Please do not save. If you want to be extra safe, just before you cache anything out, save a file under your own name so that you don't mess anything up by caching. I don't think you should, especially if you just click don't save. So just make sure, do not save over anyone's work. Make sure you're working in your own file just to be safe. But yeah. So now we're gonna open up Maya again. Now that you've done that, go ahead and reset your project to the light folder. So go to light, set your project in your blocking folder. So that's just your username and then Maya. Open up your blocking shot, your most updated blocking shot for the light blocking. So once you're in your blocking scene, you can see that you have the old Robert rig. So for you, if it's the rig that's in your file, you're going to go File, Reference Editor, and you're going to unreference the rig. For me, this is a cache. This is a model in a cache that I had imported, so I'm just going to delete it. But for you, you'd probably have to unreference the rigs. And what we're going to do is go File, Create Reference, and we're going to bring in the Robert model. Not the rig, but the model. And I'll show you where to find that. It should be very consistent. So go to Sticky Fingers, go to Assets, Characters, Robert Miller, Model, Model for Cache. Anytime that you are caching something out onto a model, the model is going to be in a folder called Model for Cache in their respective directory. So go to Model for Cache, my name. We've got Grocery and Stone Age. They're different models, so go to Grocery, and then I'll clean this up, so sorry, but the correct one is this right here, Robert Miller, Model for Cache, Grocery 2. So reference that in. Alright, so now that you have the Robert model in, what you have to do is you have to actually import it. And this is because whenever I don't import it, it has a weird texture, like it does some weird lines. So we're just going to import it in. Go File, Reference Editor, select the reference, right click, Reference, File, Import Objects from Reference. Beautiful. Now select his geo, make sure that all of these items are unselected and you can only select surfaces just in case. And then go to Arnold. Go to Cache, Geometry Cache, Import Cache. Go and find your cache in your shot, in your local assets, in cache, in geocache, in Robert, and then Robert cache 5 was the cache that we did. And his textures are coming out perfect. So now what you're going to do is the same thing with the clipboard. File, might as well just import it in because it's not going to let us reference it. So go to shots, go to assets, assets, both world assets is where you'll find the clipboard. Go to Robert's clipboard, go to model, my username, go to my username, my model for cache, and then select the only file in there, import that bad baby in. Go ahead and manually select all the geo from the clipboard again, and then go cache, geometry cache, import cache, and then go ahead and find it. So you know where it is. It's in Rob 220, assets, cache, geocache clipboard. It's cache 5 for for me. And now it should work. So go ahead and try to play your animation. The reason that he snapped back is because my timeline is incorrect. So if you notice that your character is going to a position that you were not expecting, your timeline is probably just not matching the animation's timeline. So go ahead and find what's wrong. I think the animation was started on frame 2. And then go to frame 2. And looks like the last frame is like 44 or something. So just make sure your frame rate is correct. Frame range is correct. And you should be good to go with the caching, which is exciting. Okay, so Rembrant lighting is a cinematic way to light someone's face. It typically has a key light, a fill light, and a rim light. I know you've already heard this, I know you already know, and you watched the lighting tutorial. However, our instructor, Kevin, let us know that we need to really exaggerate it to make these models look good and cinematic. So I'm just going to retell you how to get this, like, Rembrandt lighting. As you can see, the light will come from a particular side, which I will let you know. And you should be trying to achieve this triangle here in order to make it look cinematic. And then you always want some rim light on the hair in order to make the character pop out. And as you can see here, you can see the triangle. This one's not, oh yeah, the triangle right here, triangle right there. It's just a really cinematic way to light. I'm going to light this scene from scratch with Rembrandt lighting and really exaggerate the Rembrandt lighting so you guys can really just absorb it and apply it. So the first thing you're going to do, and if you oh my god, if you know any of this from before, feel free to skip to the next part. But I'm going to show you how to do the background plate so you can get a reference point of what you should be going for. Alright, let's get some background plates. So go to shot cam, and then you'll start like this, but find environment, create a background image plane that's connected to the camera. Right click looking through camera for that setting. Go to image name, go to the file, go ahead and find, go to your shot number, go to assets, go to plates. Plates are the background image, the photographs that we took and edited. It's the background to the characters. So go ahead and go to plates, go to the username, shot number, assets, plates, username, and then go and find it. There's only going to be one. You're not going to have to worry about this unless it's like a special shot or something. But I'm definitely going to clean this up. So you just find your shot, open it, and now you have a reference point to what kind of lighting that you're going for. However, you're always going to do Rembrandt lighting no matter what the situation is. So right now we have our background plate, but we have no lights, so we can't see anything. So I'm going to go Arnold, Lights, Sky Dome. Yay! So click your Sky Dome, go to Color, and find your HDRI. If you don't know where to find that, you're going to go to Sticky Fingers, Assets, go to Grocery Assets for the grocery scene, go to Grocery Lighting, username, Maya, HDRI, and we are using Empty Warehouse. Don't know why I have that. Empty Warehouse. Open that up. Now that you have the warehouse HDRI, you can go ahead and turn off the image of the warehouse because we don't need that. So you could just go to Sky Dome, Camera, and just turn that to 0 so it doesn't bug you. And then now we have a Sky Dome, so we can turn on the light. And I would just pull all your lights up so you know where they all are, probably under the camera. But go ahead and pull up the intensity and exposure and see what you get. My background plate is kind of bugging right now. If that happens to you, stay strong. I don't have a solution, but it's just cropping weird, and you can see that the character's not matching very well. So we're gonna have to go through a couple passes of trying to get it perfect. But for now, we're just gonna go into the sky dome and focus on the lights. So go into the sky dome and probably turn it way down, so that I have a little glow to it. And then we're gonna go to Arnold, lights, area light, and I'll just make 3 right away. Grab your first area light, go into one of your viewports, and grab your first area light. I would call this Robert Key. Always name them with the character that you're lighting, because you're going to do this for every single character. Robert Phil and Robert Rim. Go to the key light, look through selected. Go to one of your viewports and go to panels, look through selected. And then you're gonna have it looking at him from the top right. And usually you want to station your lighting situation from where the camera is directed. So if the camera is looking at Robert from the right down, you want to also match the lightings to that. So the key light is going to look at him top right down, like this. And we're going to boost it up. As you can see, he's lighting up. If you look over here, you hit a limit. You can just expand that limit. So I'd go to 20. And now you can really go crazy. Oh my god. And find a good balance. But you want to light him in a way that creates a little shadow on the left side of his face. So as you can see, I'm slowly moving the light so I can achieve this shadow here and this Rembrandt triangle. And so just move around until you kind of achieve an appealing version of that. You can also mess with the spread to see how that affects it. The lower it goes, the more intense the light's going. Another thing is normalize. So these lights are normalized, so when you go into your perspective view and you physically make them bigger, so you have the light selected and you can physically make it bigger. And the bigger it gets, the softer the light gets. So in the grocery store, we want really diffuse lighting, but we still want cinematic lighting, so we're trying to get a good balance between diffused and cinematic. So kind of find like a nice soft look. And okay, now we can go into the fill light and go into the viewport perspective, look through selected. So now we're looking into the fill, and we're going to come from the other side. So the camera is coming from the right side, the key light's coming from the right side, fill light is coming from the left side. So it's looking at Robert, and then we're going to have the exposure go up. And do the same thing. Sometimes you want to go crazy so you can see like what the balance could be. And something interesting you could do is you can mess with the colors. So don't go too crazy, but you can kind of do like a warm and a cool light thing. So when you have a warm light as a key and a cool light as a fill, it can help kind of bring out the colors a little bit, make them a little bit more intense. So you could go to blue for like a cool light look, and just put some blue in there. You can't really tell, but sometimes it can be kind of interesting. And then so for the key light, going to the key, I'm just going to make it slightly warm, but like ever so slightly, just to see. Maybe it can have a little bit of a difference. Now we're going to go to the rim light, go to your viewport panels, look through selected. We're going to come up from behind him, and we're going to light up his hair and his shoulders. So right here, we're going to boost up the exposure and just look at his hair. So now you can really see what the rim light is controlling, just like his back. So you can just go down from here. Until we have a slight separation from the background to the character. So just to repeat, the bigger that you make these lights, the softer the light's going to be. So I'm going to kind of make them all a little bit bigger to soften that light. Alright, that is Rembrandt lighting, also known as 3-point lighting. Make sure that you're achieving this shadow and that you're achieving this triangle right here, and that the side of their face that the camera's coming from is being lit up. Might be slightly different for the Stone Age because the light source will be coming from the sun and it will always be coming the same way, but you can kind of fudge it in the indoor lighting scenarios. Alright, next thing you want to do is Haze. What Haze does is it helps integrate the foreground to the background. It helps mesh everything together a little bit and kind of blur his the division of his mesh and the background. So go to your render settings. So you go to Windows, Render Editors, Render Settings, and I dock it right here. So it's very useful to have it here. Go to Arnold Render, go to Environment, and this is Atmosphere. Atmosphere is Haze, same thing. So go to Atmosphere, click this, go AI Atmosphere Volume. As you can see, it creates a little haze. In order to find it, you always have to go back to Render Settings, and you have to go to Environment, find the atmosphere, and click this black square. And it will take you, once you click this, go to your attribute editor, and it should be in the haze, or the atmosphere volume. So then you can raise the density up. That's super hazy. So you want to do, like, just go by the decimal, because you do not want too much of this. So I'd go like 0.002 or something. Something really, really, really small. And just go up from there and see like how you can mess with these settings. The one thing you want to be careful of is these rectangles. Sometimes the light will show, so just try to be aware of this and don't allow the haze to create these shapes with the lights. And you can see that he has a soft shadow framing his face, and you see that his nose gives a shadow as well that allows a little light triangle here. But sometimes you might notice that you have some really dark parts, like that, this part right here. So if you want, you could also add additional lighting. So you could go to, you can go to Arnold and create another area light. You can call this area light Robert Fill 2, and see, we can look through selected, so we're looking through the lights, and we could just look up, just brighten up the parts that might be a little bit too dark, like this. Raise it up. So just kind of do what you think is needed for the scene. Let's just see how that looks. There you go. Kind of brightens it up so you can see what's going on. Maybe even 5. That's better. And additionally, since we since we only really want this light to affect the clipboard and probably his shadow down here, you can add a light blocker. So let's just say that you had conflicting light. You only wanted the light to touch this area, but it was actually also touching his face, and you did not want that. You can add a light blocker. So on this fill light that we added, you can add a light blocker. And where I found that was in the attribute editor for the fill shape. You go down and you find this light filter, add a light blocker. Now, in your perspective view, go ahead and find it. It's going to be called transform. If you want to rename it, you could call it Robert Fill to Blocker, so you know what you're doing. Make it bigger. And then go ahead and put it on his face. This should just block the light from even affecting him. And you have to click on the blocker and increase the density for it to even work. So I'd increase it to max since we just don't want his face to be affected by it. But maybe we want his hand to be affected by it, so we can just kind of do, like, mess with the shape a little bit. I'm not sure if the light is even really affecting him, but I'm just adding this just in case to show you guys what you can do and what you should do if there's a light affecting an area that you do not want to be lit. And then let's see. I don't think it really did anything, but in the case that that light was going to affect his face and we didn't want it to, then that can really help. One last thing is check your lighting in most of the frames. Like, just try to scrub through and see how the lighting looks on, like, every 5 frames or something, because sometimes you get some weird shadows, and just try to fix it the best you can.